Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing the rainy day book tag because when I woke up this morning it was raining outside. The lovely Silje tagged me to do this video. I will link all of her information in the description below. Definitely go and check her out. I have my coffee and my oatmeal and my slippers on, so without further ado, let's just jump right into it. The first question in this tag is rain, and it is pick a book that makes you cry every time you read it. Now, I'm not one to reread books that make me sad cry. That's kind of an experience I want only once. And so in this situation, I am going to instead pick a book that makes me happy cry because it doesn't specify. And in this case, it just has to be Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I find myself crying every time I read this because I am just enamored at Austen's ability to just make me feel so much for these characters, even though I know what's going to happen. I know that certain things are going to get resolved, but when certain characters are fighting and they just do not see eye to eye and it's just dramatic irony because I know that they need to be together, I just can't help but bawl. The next one is Puddle, and it is pick a book where the world is underwater or mostly underwater. I had trouble with this. I honestly just stared at my bookshelf for a little while before something popped out to me, and ultimately I went with The Watch That Ends the Night, Voices from the Titanic by Alan Wolfe. At one point this was my favorite book ever. It is 24 different unique voices from the Titanic, which are all kind of backed by some level of research on the author's part. I think it's really interesting. At one point in my life I was super duper obsessed with the Titanic, to a ridiculous amount. I thought that I was a reincarnated passenger and I wrote stories about it. Next is Rain Boots, and it's pick a character with a damned soul. So I honestly believe that every good book has a character with a damned soul to an extent, but right now I am rereading The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and so of course we have the character of Esther. When you start the book, you are already in the midst of Esther's depression and helplessness. You know, she's in a situation where she should be really happy in life. She's been picked to do this prestigious internship. She's writing. She should be happy, but she can't be, and you as a reader know she can't be, and it's just this invisible something that makes you think that, and honestly I think it has to do with her damned soul. On that happy note, we have Umbrella, and it is pick a book that was big and comforting. Now by big I'm assuming length, and so for this I actually picked Divergent by Veronica Roth. I've read this book a couple of summers back, and I actually remember slowing down my reading because I was really enjoying the story. There's just something really comforting and appealing about being able to actually read a really big book fast, and that's of course because it's a YA book. I really do enjoy YA books. Believe it or not, I actually really do enjoy apocalypse themed books. I find that comforting in a strange sort of way. Rainy day movie, pick a book that was turned into a movie that you love to watch on rainy days. Very specific. So to be perfectly honest with all of you, The Breakfast Club is hands down my favorite rainy day movie. I decided to pick my second favorite rainy day movie. It is called 1408, which happens to actually be one of the short stories included in Stephen King's Everything's Eventual. It's a very short story, but it tells the whole story of 1408. Basically a room where this guy goes, and there's all kinds of lore surrounding it, which basically says that if you go in this room you're going to die. Hundreds of people have died in this room, but yet this guy is a paranormal investigator who is skeptical of the paranormal, and he's just looking for something to convince him otherwise. The next one that we have is Coffee, and it is pick a book that you couldn't get enough of that hot and steamy romance. I'm not a huge fan of the hot and steamy romance that you find in a lot of those novels with the guys with the rippling muscles on the front, but for this I decided to go with a little bit more of a traditional hot and steamy romance, and that is Jane and Rochester from Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. There's infidelity, there's sex, there's ridiculous relationships. Is it hot and steamy? Well, there is a fire in the book, so I guess that's one way to put it. The next one is Poncho, and it is pick a book with a main character who has an amazing best friend. Now this is really sad, but I could not think of any book with a character with a really good human best friend, and I don't know what that says about me. I ended up picking The Black Cat from Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Once again, a duplicate from a previous tag video, but I can justify this. He basically is always there for her, and I think it's cool that in like the real world he's just a normal cat, right? And then in the world where the other mother lives, he's a cat who can talk. And for me, that gives me hope, because I hope one day there's a world where my cat can talk to me. So once again, eternal cat lady, probably. Next we have Gutters, and it's pick a book where the world is dirty and grimy in the way you would imagine it. And for this, I am going to go with Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. This book has eaten my life since December. It's been to Europe and back, to the bottom of my backpack, but the world at this point has just stayed with me so much. The setting is 1860s St. Petersburg, Russia, and from the second page of the novel, this world really becomes alive in your mind. Scaffolding, bricks, and dust all about him, and that special Petersburg stench, so familiar to all who are unable to get out of town in summer. I can understand why this is one of the most prolific books in Russian literature, because I've never felt more present and like I've been somewhere before. The next one we have is Cuddly Pet, and it's pick a book that had out of this world or very enjoyable animals in it. I'm going to go with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. I wrote a paper in high school that basically talks about all the animal imagery in this book, how Nurse Ratched is compared to as a wolf, and how the patients are described as rabbits. Also, you kind of get the idea of McMurphy sort of fighting his way to the top of like the animal kingdom as sort of replacing Ratched as a wolf, but more of a wolf of a pack versus a wolf trying to go after, you know, and eat and devour the other animals in the animal kingdom. Finally, we have Sweet Treat, which is pick a book that had the sweetest ending, and I know you guys see this coming, so I don't even think I need to say it, but of course. It has to be Pride and Prejudice, guys. I told you how amazingly constructed this book is. There is no better ending. You haven't read Pride and Prejudice, like, I will order you a copy. I will send it to your house so you can read it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully wherever you are and you're watching this, maybe it's a rainy day, maybe it's snowing, considering all this weather. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit that red subscribe button if you want to see what I'm going to be doing next. And I hope you enjoy the rest of March. See you in another video. Bye!